I usually tell everyone and tell myself, you learn not to change, but you learn to grow.
What's the psychology behind a suit?
It's what the garment represents. So what a suit represents to you. What they're selling is value.
How expensive can fabrics get?
So 1 meter of Vaikuna fabric will cost you around 800,000 Kenyan shillings to $1 million, depending on the blend.
Kenyans want to be identified by Kenyan brands. What's the Kenyan scene feeling like?
The creative minds that are there are coming out and saying, I want to build my own identity. The mindset that we're put in, Africa is the lowest in the value chain,
sure.
and it's by design.
Explain that.
Let me digress a bit to colonial time. They created a system where in their home country, they're going to produce the main crops, which we need today to eat and survive. And then we are going to produce cash crops. So we don't consume these cash crops.
No,
we sell to
them.
And then we buy main crops. We need more of these main crops that they need cash crops.
That is true.
So the system is created in a way that we'll end up being in debt. And then they create a debt system where they can give you money. But they know we are Africans. Everyone wants to be richer as fast as possible.
Yes.
So what do? The person you're giving money to will take
Yes.
fast for themselves. There'll always be a deficit. So we'll continue running in deficit for a long time.
How do you do marketing and sales?
You never know, the biggest aspect of business is the client and understanding who your client is, the client persona. You are the center of our ecosystem. So we have to make you feel like you are valued, because that's what men don't get in every day.
I absolutely will. I've just been called talent on cameras. Jazoya. I'm so used to being the director. And it's fun for me because it's a conversation we were having with Ashok before the cameras started rolling about switching from being talent to being a business owner. Yeah. We're still filming at Longer Place. Come check them out, book your staycation. Classmates, CEOs, welcome to another lecture. This will be an amazing one because this is a gentleman I deeply admire because of his work ethic and how he's been able to build his brand over time. So join me in this conversation. This is going to be so much fun for me. Also, by the way, Makosani Yangu is still showing on phillytv.com. Kama uja watch, acha nisiongee tena. Ashok,
Yes.
uko fiti?
Uko fiti kabisa.
Thank you so much for coming through.
Thank you for having me.
I mean, for me, it's always, I always go to your place of business. First of all, your place in a kafiti.
Thank you.
Mmedesign ile place kuingia mifuko za wanaume. Like, the service is amazing, the ambience.
Thank you.
And it always amazes me that I come in to fit my suit and whatever you designed for me. But the fitting only takes about 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And then we spend a whole hour
The
talking.
conversation takes an hour. Yes.
Takes an hour.
Yes.
So I'm hoping we can have this conversation
Definitely.
in front of the camera.
Yes,
I'm so excited for this. Let's get to know Ashok Sunny.
Yeah.
Your full names, and give us context of how you grew up, where you grew up, how was it at home, what did you observe growing up, and then ulijipataje kwa luku.
So my name's Ashok Sunny.
All right.
I found and ran a business called Ashok Sunny Tailored Limited. And then we have a sub-business of the same. It's called Officini Workwear,
Right.
which focuses on corporate uniforms. You see, bespoke corporate uniforms, same concept.
Okay.
I grew up in a place called, where I was born is in Pumwani Maternity.
All right.
So off Pumwani, you have Majengo,
Yeah.
Kije.
Kije.
So
Kije?
yeah, I grew up in Kije.
Yeah.
It was let's call it a slum.
Yeah.
It was not developed. So my father got some. He was a true businessman. He was a good businessman. Typical Indian guy.
Yeah.
He's always focused on business.
Right.
So he built a business that after his passing eventually failed, and then we had to go back to square one. So that's where we went back to Kije, because that's the roots. And then my mother had 4 children,
Right.
trying to raise 4 children in that environment, being a housewife for the longest time. And now she has to fend for this family with no skill,
Right.
just education and no skill.
Yeah.
Now she has to start life. So that's, for the longest time we lived in Kije before we could grow out of it. So the aspect of clothing came from just across the road, Gikomba.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
Gigomba iko tu hapo. Okay,
Because
okay.
my mother was very good. She liked to dress up,
Okay.
and she used to knit a lot of clothes,
Right.
even for us, because she could not afford to buy some time, so she could knit herself. So she liked to knit a lot. That was her passion. You could find her with a long strands and the two knitting needles,
Yeah.
sitting in the house just making a sweater for you,
Right.
Because she could enjoy it, because that's the only thing she could afford to enjoy at that time. We lived in a single room. We were five. We were five, so my mom and four of us.
All right.
We used to sleep in one bed, a 6x6. So the funniest thing I could remember at that time was when you wanted to turn, you had to do it synchronically. So if someone is standing on the farthest end, all of you have to be in synchrony to turn and turn the other side. So at the end of the day, it gave you some discipline. But that's the nutshell of how tough it was. And we lived in a single room for almost, I think, till I went to campus. We lived in a single room.
Okay.
So eventually we moved to different places, but we're always in a single room.
Right.
Because I think that's what she could afford, and being able to pay for university for 4 children, and then and be able to survive in life on a day-to-day.
Right.
Because life in Nairobi, as much as it is, it's always been on the higher side.
Right.
No matter what government or economy, the way it was. So that's what she could be able to afford, because she was a city council askari. That's the first job she got. Because remember those days when the councillor used to get slots to be able to employ people from their constituent, from their ward.
Yes.
So her uncle was a councillor in that area of Majengo, Kije. So in that area of Pumwani. So she told her, the only opportunity I can give you is you become an askari. And that's the funniest thing, because my mom is half Indian, half Kikuyu.
Oh, okay.
And so she looks more Indian than Kikuyu. And then she's a city council askari doing training day out. And then you walk in, those days the askaris were city council askaris.
Yes.
So you didn't have these security companies before. So you could walk in a building. She's the one on the door, making sure everything moves smoothly. And she was humble enough to do it until now. She's been a civil servant for all those years up until now.
Okay.
So she was able to raise us and pay our school fees and university fees on that single salary.
Wow.
Yeah.
I keep thinking our parents were magicians. Unakujanga kuona payslip ya mzazi huko. How did you manage this? Wow. I probably make 4 or 5 times what they used to make, but I can't raise 5 kids.
True.
4 kids, man.
True.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Just a thought that just crossed my mind. It's something I've not experienced, and so I'm just curious. Growing up as a kid with 2 different races, how was that for you? Because I see the hair, but manzuko kije. So of course I'm assuming you go to the same public schools and
I've actually done public school all my life.
Yeah.
I've never gone to I don't know how a private school looks like.
Right.
It was very challenging because a lot of times you had to explain yourself to everyone and to everything.
Yeah. Right.
So you meet someone new, they look at you. Unafanya nini huku? What are you doing here? You're not supposed to be here. What does your father do? Doesn't he have a hardware somewhere or a wholesale shop somewhere selling something?
Right.
What are you guys doing here? What's the problem? So you had to explain yourself out of everything. Even just in terms of, Kenyans, the first question is, we ni kabila gani?
That is true.
So this was a whole conversation you had to start. But it's good because it helped me create relationships with a lot of people.
Right.
People usually say it's easy for me to get to know someone because the conversation usually starts from there.
Right.
Your hair looks different, but your skin tone is different. Where do you come from? So it's a whole other conversation that usually helped me be able to create relationships with a lot of people. It was a bit challenging most of the time, but you get used to it and you know how to handle it and you don't take offense to it.
Yeah.
You just know the next question someone will ask you is that, and you already have an answer to it.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's very, I don't know, very mature of you for not taking offense.
Yeah.
For me personally, it's something I usually say. To some extent, some degree, I understand racism. I don't excuse it. I understand it, because here's someone from a totally different part of the world,
Yeah.
and then they just don't get you.
Yeah.
What I don't understand and excuse is tribalism. I just don't get it. We're all Kenyans.
Yeah.
However, I've come to also appreciate that we have very different cultures.
Yeah.
Even within the different tribes.
Yeah.
And human beings, the way we are made, we will always go to our tribal cocoons. So it's gotten to a point, like, don't be malicious with how you treat me if I'm in a foreign country.
Yeah.
But I expect the questions. I actually understand. I come from a very different part of the world, so you don't understand it. So it's just very mature hearing from you.
No, when you come from where I've come from and the life I've lived, a hard life, you come to think about the bigger problems that you have compared to this. Because if someone has a problem with how I look or how I behave or how I talk,
Yeah.
I came to think that that's a problem.
Right.
It's not mine. I have bigger problems to worry about.
Yeah.
Because in that time, you worry about how am I going, what's my next meal? Not what does this person think about me?
Right.
Because my next meal is more important than what you think about me. So as you grow, it becomes less of a problem. And then you worry about the other things that you need to worry about. And eventually you come to find out that it's their own
Exactly.
it's their own problem, it's their own insecurities that they're dealing with compared to that what it reflects on you. There's a funny story. The first time I traveled outside, most of the people I go with, I don't have a lot of Asian friends, or because where I grew up, I don't have a lot of Asian friends or white friends.
Right.
We're all African.
Yeah.
Yeah. Most of my friends, we're all African.
Yeah.
It's dark skin.
Right.
We walk together. We travel together. So when you get into a place, because people cannot say it these days anymore.
Yeah.
But the way they behave around you, the way they look at you,
Yes.
the way they do things
Around you.
you know and you see. And then someone asked me, don't you guys feel offended by this? Just tell them we have bigger problems to worry about, because this person is not going to affect how I'm going to live today or tomorrow.
That's true.
It's their thought. It's what they think. It's their problem.
Yeah.
Because carrying that baggage is too much for me. Let them carry it.
Right.
Because they have the energy.
Okay.
Because you can meet people, they just don't like the way you look. How are you going to deal with that? I'm not going to change the way I look.
That's true.
Exactly. So it's getting used to it, and then you know how to deal with it, and then you just put it aside.
Right.
Yeah.
Fast forward, you're at campus or wherever, you're in the dating scene. I'm just curious how that was like for you, because Wasichana Nairobi, we see the hair, we see the suits. We just probably think you have this money just sitting somewhere because of family business.
Yeah.
Was it the same as well?
Because the funniest thing, I used to live in... the problem is living in a single room for the longest time. So when you move out, you still go to a single room because that's what you're used to. So when you're talking to these ladies and then you see a nice lady you want to approach, you want to talk to them, and then it gets to a point you have to take them home.
Yeah.
They want to see where you live, get to know you better. So you take them to this place. I used to stay in a place downtown.
Yeah.
Because my campus was in CBD.
Yes.
So I used to stay downtown.
Right.
So they come to your space. First of all, there's a machine and a tailor there tailoring. And then there's your bed there. And then there's your kitchen there.
Wow.
They thought what they had in mind about you changes significantly.
Yeah.
And some will never talk to you again.
Yeah.
That's the day they end. Some will, the ones that will stay are the genuine ones who will want to know you for who you are, because there are some people that doesn't matter to them so much because maybe they come from the same environment or they treasure that honesty that you're showing them who you are.
Yeah.
And some just want something different. And you cannot blame them.
That's true.
Everyone knows what they want. So if someone wants a better life, and it has affected me for a long time, because you get introduced to someone's parents, the first thing they ask you, where do you come from?
Yeah.
So sometimes I've been segregated because there's no money.
That's true.
I come from a humble background. Sometimes my parents are not Muslim and they're Muslim, so stay away from our daughter. I've been thrown a lot of abuse most of the time until you get just okay, it's fine. It's just the way it is. You just move on, find something else. Because there's no need of taking that much negativity where the world is big. You can find someone else.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Sorry, I took a trajectory. I think it's one of those curious things I've always wondered, but I've never asked. So, growing up, public schooling, all the way to campus, at what point do you discover fashion? I know you mentioned you grew up next to Gikomba, so ulikuwa ushazoea watu wakipiga luku.
Yeah.
But at what point does it occur to you that I actually want to do this for a living?
Okay. The first experience I got is there was this beauty pageant you have in campus. So there's this guy who used to come and train models. He was very sharply dressed. The way he talked, he was articulate. As he could say anything and you can believe it.
Yeah.
He's a good salesman. So the way he was dressed in a sharp suit, anytime, anywhere, you meet him at 5 p.m., he looks sharp. You meet him at 10 a.m., he looks sharp. So I started to think, if I could dress like that, because I was doing BBIT, but my main focus was business. If this person can be able to convince me, because he convinced me to model, and in nowhere in the world I used to think I could model. So he convinced me to become a model, to model in a beauty pageant. If this guy can convince me to do something I've never done before, come out of my comfort zone, then if I look like that anywhere, I could be able to get anywhere and do anything. So I went to a tailor, a designer. So I told him I want to make a suit like that. Took my measurements. I gave him a deposit. He never delivered.
Mafundi.
So he was a young guy. So I asked him, okay, instead of me fighting with you, why can't you deliver? So he tells me, oh, I'm a designer. I'm still in campus. Then this tailor, I gave this tailor your order and fabric, but he has not made your suit up until now. So I'm telling him, so the problem is that you have to outsource a lot of what you're doing. So how can we do it better? I told him, because I like suits and I'll wear suits, but I cannot afford Sir Henry's.
Yes.
I cannot afford Little Red. So you are the only hope I have. And you, at least you know something. So let's do it together. So that's the first time we started building the business from there.
Okay.
But at the end of the day, I came to find out the reason he was not delivering is also because his spending habits. So when he makes money, he spends it.
Right.
He doesn't put it back into the business.
Yeah.
So then I told him, for now, I already know what to do. Let me start doing it myself. Because at the end of the day, my idea was always to start a business. And coming from where I come from, you always have to look for that extra shilling to be able to survive in Nairobi. So if my mother was paying my school fees and she was paying my rent and she was giving me food, I could not ask for airtime.
No.
I could not ask, I met a beautiful girl, I have to take her for a date.
No.
That is not a problem. And if you ask, it's being unfair.
That's true.
So I always said, let me find a way to make an extra shilling so that I can be able to do all of these things and enjoy life the way everyone else is enjoying. And take a lot of from her. So that's how I started the business itself.
Right.
Just making suits for myself. And then you post it on Facebook and people like it. Then you start, oh, can you make me a suit like that? Can you make me a suit like, it looks nice. That time people were not doing fitting suits.
No.
Everything was baggy and wide. So you come up with a different fit. People like it, especially the young guys. And then that's how the business started.
Wow.
Yeah.
Do you remember your first sale?
Yeah,
How much was it? How did you spend the money?
My first suit I sold was actually a suit I had made for myself.
Okay.
So I wore it and then someone stopped me. It was Jamia Mall. I was leaving the mosque. Someone stopped me.
Right.
Told Sudanese guy, I want that suit. I told him, okay, we make suits. I was now starting to make a sale. Told me, no. I want that one you're wearing.
Right.
So he bought me a sweatpant and a t-shirt and then he took the suit and left. That was, I think I sold it at 5.5.
Wow.
That was the cost of a suit at that time. Off the rack, literally.
Okay.
Yeah.
Ulikuwa umekaa na wanabiashara sana. You did not let the opportunity pass.
Exactly.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So how do you, so that's your first sale. So now how do you realize, okay, this is a thing now. I need to go full in. At what point? How many orders are you making at this point?
at that time you're making maybe an odd 1 or 2 suits
Okay.
a month, because you're still trying to understand how the ecosystem works. So there's fabric you're buying somewhere, there's how a suit is made, and then there's a tailor somewhere that's making the suits,
Right.
and then you have to look for clients, market. So getting to understand that, and then you're still in school, you don't have a lot of time to think about the aspect of building a business. But the first time I got, because I used to do, I was in JKUAT, but I used to do, the center was ZTech. So when ZTech had a beauty pageant, so they usually used to like to empower the students
Right.
that are there. So, you've passed around, you've already told everyone, oh, I make suits. If you want to make a suit, I can make it for you. If you want to make a trouser, I can make it for you. So there was one, the business development manager, his name was Moses, I can't forget him. So I made him a trouser, a pair of trousers, and he liked it.
Yeah.
So when they're having this beauty pageant, he called me and told me, now, this is what we want to do, and this is how we're going to do it.
Right.
So there's someone organizing the event and everything and training, but how can you plug in yourself here? So I told him, the problem when we did it last time was getting clothes, because you have to do like categories and do.
Yes.
So these people are struggling with getting the clothes. So he said, we can't dress everyone on all categories. Pick one category and dress them and give me a quotation. I said, hey, a quotation? What's a quotation? Now you're used to, oh, make me that suit. I'll pay you. You don't even know how a quotation looks. You don't even have a brand name. You're just Ashok Sunny.
Yes.
No one knows you anything else.
That's true.
So, and then he told, make me a quotation. Has to be formal.
Yeah.
Sign it, get a stamp, stamp it, present it to me as a quotation. That's your first lesson in business. That's what he told me. That's your first lesson in business. Go calculate how much it will cost to dress all of these guys. The men, it'll be like 15 men. Get a quotation, how much it's going to cost.
Right.
Because I cannot make suits for everyone. So find a way you can be able to make clothes for them, but also dress them. Somewhere you can get clothes. The ones that you have to make clothes for them. Do a nice calculation, put in your margin. Do a quotation, bring it to me.
Wow.
That's the first time I knew that this can be a business.
Right.
From there, that's how the business took off. That's how I came up with the brand name. That's how I came up with my first quotation sample, how it looks like. Down in River Road, someone made it for me. I made a stamp. I stamped it. I sent it there. And then they told me, now, our system works like this. You deliver, we give you a deposit, and then after 30 days, you'll get your payment. After delivery.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
So between the two, because it feels like you were introduced to the business side of things very early on.
Yeah.
But what were you more in love with? The art and skill of making a perfect suit, or the business side?
The art of just making a perfect suit.
What does a perfect suit constitute of?
A perfect suit is, first of all, it's basically two things, fabric and cut.
Okay.
Nothing else. Fabric and cut. Finishings and everything else come later. But the way the fabric, the quality of the fabric, and the quality of cut, that is basically make up a perfectly tailored, well-made suit.
I think I saw, this was a while back, there's only one lady on Savile Row who does the cutting.
Yeah.
And I think it took her more than 10 years.
13 years.
13 years before she was allowed to, or she's called a, what are they called? Master cutter?
Master cutter.
Like cutting is such an art.
Yeah. So the way they do it in the developed countries, it's there's a house like Ashok Sunny is a house of tailors. So there's a master tailor and a master cutter and a junior cutter.
Okay.
And then you have tailors, the ones that sit down and stitch.
Right.
So if you go, for example, Savile Row, the one you're talking about, you go to a house, for example, you've seen the Kingsman movie.
Yes.
So the Huntsman, the tailoring house is a retailoring house called Huntsman.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Didn't know that. Yeah.
So Huntsman is a house of tailors. So in Huntsman, you only find 3 people. You find the master tailor and then master cutter. So master cutter is the one that runs the business. But they don't have tailors in-house. It's segmented in a way that there are people in Savile Row who just do the tailoring.
Okay.
And then there are people in Savile Row who just do ironing. So tailor is the one who will sit down, stitch,
right.
hand stitch, do the finishing, and then there's someone somewhere who comes in the morning just to iron. So they've segmented in a way that the ecosystem works properly. So if Ashok Sunny has a style that he makes clothes from, the tailors understand, the iron guys understand, and then it comes back to here. That's why a suit in Savile Row, it takes you six weeks to 6 months for you to get one suit. If you're a regular client, it'll take you 6 weeks. Right. If you're a new client, it takes you 6 months.
What's the psychology behind a suit? Because, and we'll come back to the cut and the art of making suits. But for me to wait for a suit for 6 months, to spend millions on a suit, I feel like it's not even about the product.
It's not about the garment. It's what the garment represents. So what a suit represents to you.
Okay.
Because what they're selling is value. It's not about, yes, there's a suit has to drape nicely.
Right.
You have to feel comfortable. You have to look nice, look proper. But it's what it represents.
Right.
If you're doing a bespoke suit, you enjoy the process. It's a tailored suit. It's made for me. It makes you feel a certain way.
Yeah.
It's mine.
Right.
No one else can wear it. Someone took their time to make this for me. I'm the center of attention. You see, it's my suit. And then the process, it's handmade. I chose fabric. I was involved in the process. I chose fabric. I had my input in making the garment itself, the customization aspect. I own it.
Right.
So it's different from what Phil is wearing. You see, you can have the same tailor, but it's different. This is my style. I own it.
Right.
That's what people want. That's what people enjoy. And then if you go somewhere and say that I'm wearing a bespoke suit, what the perception that people have of you is what they're selling. And the heritage that comes with tailoring from the olden days up until now, and how hard it is, like you said, from that lady to be able to take 13 years to be able to be a master cutter in a house.
Right.
That is what it represents.
Oof. I think I've just never had that much attachment to suits and wear. But okay, I mean, you're teaching me how to dress up. You're teaching me how to show up to all these forums and events in a way that I am memorable, and I really thank you for that. Let's go back to the cut and the tailoring. So something I've seen you do effortlessly is a gentleman will walk into your space and you can immediately tell their size, what fit will, fit that person. How long were you doing the actual tailoring, the actual cutting and tailoring and designing for you to master this craft?
By the time we were getting to understand how it's done properly, like what you're saying, I think it was around 8 years.
Wow.
Because there's a book, you remember there's a designer called Philip Lane. He said, for you to understand and master a craft and do it well, has to take you a minimum of 8 years.
I agree. I agree.
So I think it took up to around 8 to 9 years before we even change our business model to understand that this is what is required. This is how the industry is, and this is what the client need.
Right.
So that you can be able to provide that service. It's 50% service, 50% product. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wacha niruke kwa udaku. Hii sasa ni udaku. You have been able to tailor and make suits for our current president and some very big names in this country, which is amazing.
Yeah.
But they also double up in wearing the big names, the Brionis. I think former President Uhuru is big on
Brioni. Top 20 Brioni clients.
For real?
Yeah.
Can you tell a Brioni suit just by looking at it?
Yeah.
How?
So it's something that these people work a lot on. It's called aesthetic. Aesthetic determines your house style. So they call it a house style. So Brioni have their own house style. Tom Ford, Xenia, all of these people have their own house style. So once you come up with a house style, that's your brand identity.
Okay.
And that's how you create a brand. So if you see, if you go to Savile Road, there's a house called Maurice Sidwell. The master tailor is a West Indies guy. It's called Andrew Ramrope.
Yeah.
If you see a Maurice Sidwell suit, you'll know this is Maurice Sidwell because of the house cut, the way it's done. If you see Brioni, you'll know. If you see Tom Ford, you'll know. Like for example, when you see the series called Suits,
Yes.
all of these guys, the characters were wearing different brands of suits. So Harvey used to do Tom Ford from day one.
All right.
Then when Louis Litt became a senior partner, he went and did Brioni.
Okay. Now
you
I'm
see.
trying to remember. Yeah, it's
So
top 10.
Yeah, so
favorite shows.
those guys when they come up with a house style and it becomes their aesthetic, and you can see people like Brioni can be able to do off the rack retail from the same cut they do for made to measure. So that's they replicate now the house style. So every single brand has a house style. That's a brand identity.
Yeah, I'm trying to think what my house style is. I mean, right from the get-go.
Yeah.
Because I think for me, when I'm looking at a suit or an attire, I think I look more at the image.
The image, what it represents, what someone looks like.
And I think I go for the lighting one.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's my background. So now I'm just thinking, I'm like, okay, maybe I love how Tom Ford does their photography.
Yeah.
Does that mean I love their style? If you were to give me a style, of course, it's Ashok Sunny style. But when I first approached you, the images I kept showing you, what style was I inclining to?
Italian. Yeah, Italian.
Okay.
More flair, more fit, more comfort, more lightweight.
Right.
Because that is basically what you used to. Because the environment, the way you work, used to moving around a lot.
Yes.
Used to being on toes, and then you don't sit down a lot.
Yeah.
So you like something that's more comfortable,
Right.
less structured.
Yeah.
But once you grow into becoming a CEO, now you see you're doing more structured. And less,
Sikupenda
you see,
kwa- yeah,
because
I hear you. I
you have
hear
to represent a
Right.
certain image. It doesn't now. It goes from just being about you. It becomes about
The world.
what you represent
Right.
and who you represent. Because now you have people at the back of you looking at you as, okay, you are the CEO. You are face.
Yes.
We can wear khakis and sweatpants, but you have to wear
The
proper
right.
suit.
Okay.
You have to look proper.
Right.
Yeah, and that's why you pick an identity like what you're wearing now.
Yes.
A mix of a proper suit with an African identity.
Yes.
Because that's who you are.
Absolutely.
The culture that you represent is an African culture, and you tell African stories.
Yes.
Yeah. So you see, someone can see you and say, okay, I know
Wow.
where you're from.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So former President Uhuru, it's Brionis.
Yeah.
Our current president, what's his house style? What style apart from Ashok Sunny?
Yeah. No, he wears Italian.
He's
very big on Italian cut.
Right.
That's why you see, even when he stands up, even when he talks, you never see him unbutton a jacket. He's properly done.
Okay.
He's wearing proper suit.
Yeah.
He likes a cuff.
Right.
He doesn't like a straight. He likes a cuff.
Cuff, yeah.
You see, his style is more Italian. That's why he likes to wear Italian suits. So most of the suits he wears are Italian suits. And you can get him, maybe it's Brioni or Zegna, but most of the time are those two.
Okay.
Yeah, so he likes a more Italian cut.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So that's exactly what you mean by
Yeah,
cut. Like
yeah.
if he stands up, so that's how you know a good cut. Or
A good
explain
cut.
a good cut.
Yeah, so a good cut is, I even came to learn this as you continue to learn and cut, and you meet different clients and different people.
Yeah.
There's different levels of cutting, because when I was asking why does a Brioni suit cost you 1 million Kenyan shillings, so someone told me that when you look at the suit, you'll just see someone well dressed, looking proper, but you look at the mechanics of that suit, the movement, the comfort, the cut. For example, you can see when you see a president standing up,
Yeah.
you never notice he has a pot belly, but he does.
Okay.
But the way the suit is cut, it doesn't accentuate every single part. It just accentuates his frame.
Okay.
So there's a shape in the suit, but you don't see it directly. But when he stands up, you say he looks proper.
Yeah.
The arms,
Yes.
when you see him when he's buttoned, when he goes and shakes someone's hand,
Yeah.
this part doesn't move. It stays proper, intact. The arm
Yeah.
works mechanically different from the body.
Okay.
So you see, he can shake anyone's hand
Yeah.
without unbuttoning.
Right.
But previously, even when we were making suits, when someone has to go shake someone's hand,
The whole.
you have to unbutton because the mechanics of it, it's moving like one.
Wow.
But when that cut is done properly,
Yeah.
it moves differently.
These are things I don't think about.
So those are the things that we need to think about
Yeah.
if we're saying we are working towards competing in a global market.
Okay.
Because these are the people who are in the global market.
Right.
So if someone is tailoring a suit in Savile Row, because someone was telling me, I was talking to one of those master tailors, a suit will cost you minimum 5,800 British pounds. That's around 700,000 Kenyan shillings.
Yeah.
Why? And you come here, you tell a Kenyan,
Spend 700,000.
ana kuotia lands huko Malaa.
Ni kweli. Hizo ni plot, hizo ni
Exactly.
mashamba.
So
Yeah.
to compete in a global market, you have to get to that point where you understand how to cut in that way. Yeah, because you get clients who are telling you. There's a conversation we had almost 1 hour with a client. He told me, show me one suit that you've made here. So I showed him a suit.
Yeah.
And he told me, I like mine shaped. In the beginning, I was thinking he was talking about making a bit more fitting. No. Within an hour into that conversation, I came to understand he was talking about that cut, that mechanic, how the cut is done so that it shapes your body.
Yes.
It's not about how fitting it is. It's about the shape or frame of your body.
Okay.
So it gives you an aesthetic that is not yours.
Yes.
You see, it makes you look proper, formal, straight. Like everyone looks proper in that suit. That's what he was talking about.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Which other prominent person in this country that you like his style of suits that you can think of? Top
Locally?
of your head. Yeah.
I can say Ahmed Nasir.
Oh, okay.
Ahmed Nasir is very particular about his dressing. He likes a particular way of dressing. He likes proper suits. He does only biryani.
Okay.
Yeah, so he likes the good things in life, I can say.
Yeah.
A proper suit, proper shoes, nice watch, all of these things.
Right.
So I think his style, you can relate to a well-dressed person. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And Phil.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Thank you. Wow.
Yeah.
It's no, I feel like we lean more towards Italian because they're more into comfort and also I think the weather.
The weather, softer wool. They make the fabric they make is as light as possible,
Right.
and then they don't do a lot of canvassing and fusing inside the jacket.
Right.
They go as light as possible. They like a lot of half lining, not full lining, because they want the suit to feel like it doesn't feel like a second cloth. It's like second skin. So you don't feel like you're wearing something on top.
Right.
You just feel comfortable. That's why you see them even wearing suits with t-shirts. That's basically because of the hot weather.
Yes,
It feels more comfortable. Right. Even there's something it's called spalakamicha. It's the shoulders are never structured. So you never see them, their suits, the shoulders come up a bit. Then you have some gathers in the shoulders.
Okay.
They like it like that. The shoulder without lining. They call it spalakamicha, unstructured shoulder.
Okay.
So they like their style more easy compared to structured British cut.
Okay.
Yeah.
And just the lady on Savile Row, I forget her name.
Yeah.
The master cutter,
Yeah.
she was talking about how expensive the fabrics are.
Yes.
And that's why it's taking her 13 years of being an apprentice before she's been allowed to be a master cutter, because you cannot make a mistake. But human is to error. So where's the margin of error? And how expensive can fabrics get?
Fabrics can get very, very expensive. There's a first time I was given a fabric. It's called Vicuna. So Vicuna is a type of rare sheep in Peru.
All right.
I think there are only 300 species of that sheep left. So I maybe it's intentional or not intentional, because it's business. Scarcity creates demand, and when demand is high, price goes higher. So that animal, it's in a conservancy, and it's secured by security guards 24/7.
In Kondo.
Ni Kondo.
Okay.
Iko Peru, light skin.
Light skin. Okay.
So when they shear
Yeah.
that vicuna with the
Right.
vicuna fabric,
Right.
first of all, you have to book in advance and you have to pay. So all these millers in the world, expensive one, the big ones, British, Italian, Belgian, they book in advance and pay. You pay before the ship is sheared. And then there's a festival for shearing. So you have to come for the festival.
Okay.
Kuna sherehe
Uh-huh.
for shearing of that animal.
Yeah.
And then only a few are invited. So if you've paid in advance, then you're invited. Then you can come for the shearing. And then you can take your wool and take it to the factory and mill. So 1 meter of vicuna fabric will cost you around 800,000 Kenyan shillings to $1 million, depending on the blend. What is
1
blended?
meter.
1 meter. One meter of fabric. 1 meter.
And Kikuyus have not discovered. We start rearing vicunas. Zinaitwa vicuna.
Vicuna.
Okay.
So one suit will take you at least 3 meters for a standard size person.
Right.
So 3 million roughly. And then before you tailor.
Okay.
Yeah. So these suits are going from around 50,000 USD to 100,000 USD per suit. And then you come to cashmere, the most famous cashmere.
Yeah, cashmere.
So cashmere is a very heavy fabric. It's a very heavy fabric.
Okay.
So when you do pure cashmere, you're only doing the sweaters, the scarves, and blazers.
Right.
But if it's blended with another fabric, it becomes a bit soft and lighter. So those suits, 1 meter of that fabric will cost you maybe around 100,000 to 300,000 Kenyan shillings, depending on the blend.
Right.
So that's where you get the biryani guy is selling a suit for 20,000 USD or 15,000 USD because of the fabric and now the branding and all of those things.
Right.
Yeah. And then you come to River Road Textile, where they're selling you fabric for 500 bob to 3,000 per meter. So you see the difference where it is.
Now, slowly I'm beginning to understand the statement, death by designer.
Yeah.
This for me it just blew my mind that the most violent crimes are crimes that happen within the fashion world. Like, this blew my mind. Like, when it comes to espionage, there's nothing more sought after than the blueprints of a designer.
Yeah.
Like, I was watching that documentary, I'm like, this is madness.
Yeah.
And this is a few years back. But and so now, because I love hip hop, so I hear a lot of rappers saying death by designer.
Yeah.
And I didn't understand where that phrase came from. And so now it makes sense, because if that fabric is that rare and it costs that much, unaimagine ukiiba hiyo bill.
Ukiiba tu kondoo moja.
Kondoo moja ni hivyo. I mean, the Peruvian government must protect that.
It is protected by 24 hours. It's protected by
kondoo.
Yeah.
Hiyo kitu iwezi shikwa na homa.
Iko na specific diet. Kuna watu wanachunga 24/7. And they only open the gates when it's a festival for sharing the vicuna.
Hey. Vicuna.
Yeah.
I've learned something new. Let's talk about current trends. And I don't know, there's something happening in the Kenyan space, right from politics to fashion, now to my space, the arts. A lot of us now, Kenyan creators, like, people are paying attention to us. We're getting this amazing audience and following. Right now, stage plays are selling out left, right, and centers. YouTubers are selling out live shows. And Kenyans want to be identified by Kenyan brands. And I didn't realize, but even myself nowadays, I'm like, okay, what's the Kenyan design I can put on? Even the watch. Like, I don't want other brands. This is an Encarta, so Kenyan watch.
Yeah.
What's the Kenyan scene feeling like? Yeah.
There's a lot of growth. I can say there's a lot of growth, because the good thing about the Gen Z and technology together, people come to understand a lot of things, and things are accessible. So the creative minds that are there are coming out and saying, I want to build my own identity, and I want to build a brand, and I want the brand to grow.
Right.
So, because there are no jobs. Necessity is the mother of invention. There are no jobs. So everyone has to be creative in terms of what they they want to build and earn a living. So there's a lot of growth in terms of a lot of things. You can wear a Kenyan made shoe, you can wear a Kenyan made watch. You can do a bag from Denry. You see, you can do a suit from Ashok, you can do a nice dress from Vivo. All of these things, people are coming to understand that the mindset that we are put in and the way we are put in, because we are the lowest on the value chain in terms of the world economics. Africa is the lowest in the value chain, and it's by design.
Okay. Explain
that. It's created in a way that, let me digress a bit to colonial times. When we were aggregating for independence, the white man thought, okay, we have to forcefully leave this to them, but how can we continue controlling these people, Africans? So they build in a system where I was a chief economist talking about this: agriculture, which is food, fuel, fossil fuel, energy, and then manufacturing. So they created a system where in their home country, they're going to produce the main crops, which we need day to day to eat and survive. And then we are going to produce cash crops. So we don't consume these cash crops. We sell to
them.
And then we buy main crops. So when we buy these main crops, we need more of these main crops that they need cash crops.
That is true.
So the system is created in a way that we'll end up being in debt. That's why we are always in debt. And then they create a debt system where they can give you money, which is called World Bank, IMF, blah, blah, all of these guys. They give you money. But they know we are Africans. Everyone wants to be richer as fast as possible. So what do? The person you're giving money to will take fast for themselves. There'll always be a deficit. So we'll continue running in deficit for a long time. Look at just textile itself in our industry now, the way we are now. They've created a system where the EPZ zones. They've told the government, you can produce for us, the European US market. But we can't produce at the prices that the local producers are giving. So if Ashok has a factory, is producing for Louis Vuitton, the cost is higher than China. So the government creates a zone where they've given tax breaks to Kenyans, where you can set up a factory and produce for European market. So you can set up a whole factory and say you're getting business from Louis Vuitton, Supreme, Dolce & Gabbana, US Army, US Navy, all of these guys are giving you business to produce for them and send back to them. EPZ zones cannot produce for local guys. So Ashok cannot go and get produce his own products and retail in the EPZ zone. You see? So everyone runs to EPZ and sets up the factory because it's guaranteed money, guaranteed business. And it's not their fault. You need to survive. But on this other side, where Ashok wants to produce for the local guy, the local Kenyan who wants to dress up in a Kenyan brand cannot produce and compete at that price. So someone says, oh, Ashok, your suit is very expensive. Let me go buy in Dubai. What is costing me 60, Dubai will cost me 40. So at 80, I'll buy 2 suits. Where I'm at 80, I'll only buy one suit from you. So when he goes to Dubai and buys a suit, he's killing me as a brand. Instead of sitting down and saying, okay, why is your price high? What can be done? You see, because everyone in business is facing the same problems, but in a different scale. You see, someone who's producing a car, maybe Mobius, is facing the same problem Ashok is facing. Because you'll say, but Mobius is expensive. It doesn't have this and this and this. I want Mercedes-Benz or BMW because it has this and this, and it represents something different to everyone, a certain status.
It's a
but people, exactly. So every time someone goes outside the country to be able to buy, and I cannot sell, the system is still there. So what does Ashok have to do? Go outside there, in China, in Dubai or in Turkey, to produce, to come and sell
locally.
And who am I helping?
Them.
Exactly. And then who am I killing? My tailor, who is at the shop, who wants to feed his whole family. Because you see, we are Africans. We're not feeding even just your wife and your child. You're feeding a whole ecosystem.
That's true.
You remember when you're having that conversation with Vuzi, where they were talking about we are asking him what to invest in Africa
right.
specifically.
Yeah.
And people are running to Technopolis, and that's why they're giving money to. But do you think Africa's problem is technology?
No.
Because we are running to AI is a new thing.
Yeah.
So what are you going to create the avatar for? For someone who's sleeping hungry.
Wow.
So how long are we going to be the poster child for malnutrition and starvation? We'll just be in AI, but still malnutrition and starved, but looking nicer in an AI video. You see, so we like he was saying, we focus on building the socio-economic impact that we have to make.
Right.
You see, like what Vivo is doing, she's employed 450 plus Kenyans.
Yeah.
Who are being able to feed another 1,000 plus people in their ecosystem.
That's true.
You see, instead of running to produce in China and then coming and selling, every single person that goes to China and Turkey and buys a franchise and comes and sets up here and sells is killing the textile industry. And then you see someone is going to buy a franchise in Turkey we don't even know about.
That's true.
And leaving a brand here that at least even 30 out of 100 people know, which is Ashok Sunny or Vivo or somewhere else, people know about this brand. You just add the 70% to it and it becomes a bigger brand. Because the problems Ashok will have is having distribution channels to sell these products.
True.
So provide the distribution channel, I can say, I have the product. You see, Vivo had to set up a whole distribution channel for herself, which is a lot of work, a lot of input, a lot of hard work, a lot of headache, just to be able to sell a Kenyan brand to Kenyans. You see? So if you buy a brand there and come and sell a franchise, you're not helping. I was having a conversation, because I usually go to these high-end stores and see what they do, what they're doing differently with the product. So I was speaking to, in Westgate, Hugo Boss, one of the employees. This is just a salesperson. And he's telling me, he caters for the 1%.
Right.
The people who have capital and money.
Right.
And these people are running to buy Hugo Boss. But we are selling other people's brand for how long? Even the salesperson feels the pinch of, if these guys, even the owner of this shop, will have said, instead of spending 30, 40 million on bringing Hugo Boss to Kenya, why don't I give Ashok this 30, 40 million to build his brand to take to Africa? Because you see, the problem we have is, as Africans, we don't think ourselves as one.
That's true.
We think ourselves as individual. When you go to Europe, Louis Vuitton is a French brand. You go to an Italian store for Louis Vuitton. It's packed. People are buying. You go to Madrid, people are buying Louis Vuitton. The market is open.
Right.
It's one market. Europe is one market.
And it's one currency.
Exactly.
I think I was in West Africa recently, and I was impressed that they have one currency across all the Francophone countries, the Sahel. And I was like, why don't we have that in East Africa?
In East Africa.
Why don't we have that in Africa?
Exactly. If you combine the population of East Africa, Kenya, Rwanda, Tanzania, all of these guys, Ethiopia, you'll get the same population as the United States of America.
It's actually more.
It's actually more.
500 million.
Can you imagine you're selling a brand across?
Oof. That's the dream. So you say the system has been designed, and I completely agree with you. And I'm just looking at us, the people who go to merchandise, and we go to China and we leave our local. And it's not because we hate our local producers. It's just that the quality, infrastructure. And local manufacturers most of the time will not be able to deliver on time and the quality as compared to China. And this is deliberate.
Exactly.
And just to add on to that, I couldn't believe what you were telling me. We spoke about this for like 30, 40 minutes, that it was cheaper for you to have my attire made in Ghana than here. Like it didn't make sense. I even I questioned you, even with the cost of transportation. And please explain that.
It all boils down to government red tape. taxation and all of these things and policies they put in place. Because that person, it's two things actually, apart from government. It's the industry itself. Textile industry in West Africa is way like 30, 40 years before us.
All right.
It's way ahead. And then they've been able to understand and put it in a way that they can be able to produce, because they are very particular in what they wear. They like what they wear. They own and are very proud of what they wear.
Yeah.
So it is an industry that has gone for a long time.
Right.
So the production cost there in terms of fabric, labor, all of these things, it's lower than ours.
Right.
Because, for example, the funniest thing I came to understand is we used to export, one of our cash crops was cotton.
Yes.
And then I don't know what happened.
Kikomi, yeah, around Kisumu. Okay.
And then now I have to import cotton fabric to make shirts. And I'm importing in a country where Phil can go in that country and buy a tailor-made shirt there at a lower cost. Because if I'm importing from there, my cost is higher.
Yeah,
You
absolutely.
see, our cost of labor is high because our living standards high. Taxation.
Right.
If I order that cotton fabric, I have to pay at least 20% of duty, import duty. And then I'm coming here, before I make that suit for you, that shirt for you, I have to put in 16% VAT for sale. So I've already, that's 36% in that one product before I sell it to you. But maybe the same tax that I'm paying here is not the same someone is paying in Ghana.
Yeah.
You see?
And yet you can't be allowed to buy from the EPZs. So how do we... Because I've gotten to that point where I'm like, you know what? If there's one thing the Gen Z Mandamano taught us is we actually have a voice and we can make the change. So nowadays I go into spaces and I'm thinking, forget our leaders, because this is very obvious. But for some reason, for over 60 years of independence, they've not seen the need of changing this and restructuring this. So what can we do as a people to make your work and your effort, let's say, affordable, so that now I'm not going to buy stuff in China and Dubai. I can buy directly from you.
It's setting up the whole ecosystem, because like I told you, for example, that Savile example is Ashok is a master tailor and is a master cutter. So Ashok's work is to get clients. I'm able to get Phil, take him through the whole process. He commission a suit, take his measurements, he'll give me money to make him the suit.
Right.
Someone somewhere is sitting ready to set up a system where they're tailoring that cloth. After I cut, I send it to them. They tailor.
Right.
It has maybe like 20, 30 people there. You see, they tailor. When they're done, there's someone somewhere sitting there waiting for that garment to be ironed. You see, that means
it's an ecosystem.
It's an ecosystem.
Right.
It means everyone is making money.
Right.
When everyone is making money and you're getting a proper product, good quality, properly done, the way you want it, you'll buy again. Other people will come and buy. So all of this, the more it goes around, the cheaper it becomes. Because people specialize.
So what is stopping you from Style by Naomi, Vivo, South Sartorial, and all these big names in Kenya from setting up such an ecosystem so that you all have the same tailors, the same ironers, and it brings the cost down? I mean, it's just a Kenyan thing. We don't know how to work with it.
That is a problem. Because let me give an example. When we were changing the business, the brand itself, we sat down and said, okay, it's cheaper to go to China, Turkey, and produce and come and sell.
Yeah.
But like I told you, I'm going to kill that system. So what do? I go to Denry and I tell Denry, instead of me going to China, do bags. Because we're changing the business to an aspect where we're looking at a man's wardrobe, because it's a man's brand. We look at a man's wardrobe. From your shoes, socks, you go up till you get to a jacket, a shirt, and you go to a hat, you go to accessories, you go to all of these things that you need in your wardrobe.
Right.
So if you build a business to that aspect, it means the problem men have is shopping. You don't want to go shop different places.
Kabisa.
Exactly. If it's in one place, let me go just buy from there. So if Denry can produce a product for Ashok, If Nkata can produce a watch for Ashok, if Ken Bilele or Foreman can produce a shoe for Ashok, someone else is doing socks, can do socks. All of these guys, I put them in a shop and say, my brand is Ashok Sunny. I have all these products. You can come and buy. You see, everyone
benefits.
Yeah. And we are selling Kenyan. So Nkata can produce more watches. Dendi can produce more bags. Ken Bilele can produce more shoes. So the system becomes an ecosystem that works. Then once we can be able to make more money, then we can say, let's segment. You see, so tailors, you build your own system of tailors. But you have to understand that if it's Ashok giving you work, you have to understand what Ashok wants and needs, and they're supposed to be done. If there are people who just focus on ironing, this is how we want it to be done. Build your own system and work. But Kenyans, the problem is we all want to be the main guy, the brand.
The brand, yes.
You see, you don't want to take the hard work and say, we're just tailors.
Yeah.
Just sitting here, your work just get us business. We'll do whatever you want, the way you want it.
Right.
Our job is just ironing. We'll do whatever you want and how you want it. And then the system grows. But everyone wants to become a brand. Everyone wants to be on social media and become the famous person that is selling a certain product. But they're not making money. Because see, the system, it becomes more and more expensive the more everyone is bringing in a franchise from Turkey and China and killing you. Even now, if I'm doing a wedding, I'll tell the person, where are you making your gowns? Oh, we've not found. I have 5 people.
Yeah.
Call them.
Right.
You see, they go to Naomi. They ask Naomi, we are making a gown. Where can we make my husband's suit?
No.
There are 5 guys Naomi has. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Call them. Whoever you agree with, you give them business. They'll do a good job for you. You see, that's what we've tried to do in the ecosystem. Because I get complimenting businesses.
Yeah.
Like you've seen in our shop, the shoes you're buying, they are not Louis Vuitton or Xenia.
No.
It's Ken Bilele.
Yes.
Yeah. It's someone else that is a Kenyan brand. So that's how we want to build the system.
Right.
I remember when you're having a conversation about creating a casual brand that people can buy.
Yeah.
We were talking about Home 254
That's
to
true.
produce that product.
Yes.
Not China, not Turkey, not anywhere. We are sitting down and saying, who in Kenya can do it? It might be a bit expensive in the beginning, but the more we do it, the more we brand, the more we market, the more people buy products, we can be able to make money and get technology that will be able to help us make this product a bit more affordable without compromising on quality.
Right.
Yeah. So the question you ask, how can you guys, a normal person, help us? It's in terms of supporting the brand, in terms of buying, in terms of knowledge, in terms of just sitting down and saying, Ashok, you are doing this wrong.
Right.
You can do this.
Right.
In terms of Ashok, talk to this person. He can help you in terms of PR, marketing, all of this. It is how you build the ecosystem and invest. If you find someone on Instagram struggling to sell their product, ask them, how can we help? Do we buy or do we invest? And if you're investing, what are you investing in? You hold their hand and say, your problem is technology.
Yes.
What kind of technology? How can we get you the technology? And what are you giving us for the technology? Once we invest in that, in the system itself, then for me to get to that level of Brioni and Xenia becomes easy. So what I have to focus on is to upgrade my skill level to produce those guys. How can I upgrade my business to become a brand? Because what are those guys selling us? Just brands.
That's true.
Nothing else.
I think the whole China-US beef really got us, it really made us know where the products are made and how much they cost.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. 2 things I want to speak to you about are still in the business side. So you've made this beautiful product. There are 2 things that I've seen that you're really good at. One of them is service. And I think from what we've just discussed, we don't just buy a suit, especially men, because you focused on men. There's a way I walk into your space, into your shop, and into your house. I'm learning the vocabulary into the Ashok Sunny house. And there's a way nitatoka tu nimenunua kila kitu. So speak on service and then speak on selling now, and how do you do marketing and sales, because that's another big thing for most businessmen. Yeah.
Okay, so in terms of service, we came with it comes to understanding psychology of the client.
Okay.
Because when you're starting business, you don't know a lot. You just focus on the product.
Yes.
But you never know the biggest aspect of business is the client, and understanding who your client is, the client persona. So I came to understand across all men. So we started focusing on across the board what men want.
Right.
What men want is just to be taken care of. Someone just focuses on them and worries about them. So when you walk into our shop, that is the first thing. We worry about you. You are now the center of attention.
Okay.
That's why the consultation is done in a single room where we just talk to you by yourself.
Yeah.
Everyone else that comes after has to wait so that you get the full service. That's why when you do a fitting, you get like 5 people there. This one is doing this, but you're getting proper full service because you are the center of our attention.
Right.
You make our business run. You are the center of our ecosystem. So we have to make you feel like you are valued.
Right.
Because that's what men don't get in every day.
Okay.
You see, like you wake up in the morning, you have to go to work. You have employees.
Yes.
You have to worry about employees. You have to worry about clients. You get home, you have to worry about your daughter, your family, extended family at home. Everyone is calling you with their problems. Who do you call with your problems?
Wow.
So we are the guys that because you see, like even sometimes in the office, it becomes like a therapy session.
I think I just said it. We fit for 5 minutes and we talk for a whole hour.
Because it's people just want to talk, just want to express. And sometimes people just want to tell you what they've done, what they've been able to accomplish.
Right.
Because they never get that space as men. You know, women have created a system where they can talk to each other, but men don't really talk about. So we become a space where you can. That's why we got a house. We went from a shop to a house.
Yes.
There's an environment. When you step in there, it's a bit different.
Yes.
Okay, this is not just a normal tailor.
No.
This is a place where I can belong.
Right.
This is where I want to be.
Okay.
So you forget about the clothes, you start talking about.
Wow.
You want to talk about women, you want to talk about football, you want to talk about politics, you want to talk about cars, you want to talk about business.
Right.
We can talk to you about that.
Yeah.
You see, and then the aspect you are talking about, the service, the service ladies, the brand ambassadors, the service ambassadors.
Yes.
This is just to create an environment where you want something, you can get it. Because their training is, a customer is primary. Everything else is secondary.
Right.
So because it's product, yes, but service.
Right.
So you don't get all of this attention outside there. Come and get it here. That's what we do. And in terms of the second question, talking about marketing,
right?
Once you've done that aspect of service,
so the product is good, the service is good. Okay.
Clients keep on coming by themselves.
Right.
And we create long-term relationships. And these are the people who help you grow. You see, I've known you for almost 8 years now.
Yeah, by the way.
And it started from one point.
That's true.
And it has grown.
Yes.
And whenever you see there's a gap, you tell me, Ashok, by that I think I've seen this somewhere. You can add.
Yes.
We can do this, we can do this. It's a whole conversation. So first of all, it's return clientele, customer loyalty. Then they bring their friends.
Right.
On top of that, there's online aspect, which is like 30% of the business. So you have to create. Online usually helps you in terms of brand visibility, so that people, not everyone that knows Ashok has to buy Ashok, but you have to know Ashok is there.
Yes.
You see, and then you have the aspect of targeted marketing, where you already know Phil is my client.
Yeah.
Phil likes to, for example, watch football, read books, and do all of these things. So where does Phil go to do these things? So I position myself there.
Right.
You see?
Yeah.
So when you position yourself there, it's easy for me to start a conversation with Phil in that space compared to me DMing you and telling you, oh, Phil, I make suits, blah, 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 all of this. But I'm in that space where you're comfortable and you feel like I'm in the same level as you.
Yeah.
You feel like I understand you and I can give you the same service that I'm saying I'll give you. So it's targeted marketing, direct marketing, where you get into these spaces where these people are. So you need to know who your client is so that you can be able to get into those spaces where they are.
Wow.
Yeah.
You seem like you have a crazy day. I'm just curious about your day to day. How does your day look like? What time do you wake up? How does your day unravel? And I think now you're in the space of where you are a business owner as opposed to being the crafts guy doing the tailoring.
Yeah.
So how has that switch been like for you? Because I know for me, I've struggled with it. You know, I properly enjoy being on a set behind the camera, creating the magic. But now I'm more into business meetings and pitch decks. And that I think I even had to moan the director side and accept that I'm a CEO. So I'm curious for you what that process has been like and what your day looks like.
It's I'm still struggling with it even now, because it's hard to detach, because you've done it by yourself for so long,
Right.
and then now you're being told this is not sustainable.
Yeah.
If you want the business to grow,
Absolutely.
you cannot do everything. You're losing a lot by doing this. You have to let professionals do it. You have to let someone else do it. Even if they're doing it wrong, your job is to tell them if they're doing it wrong, how to do it right.
Yes.
But beyond that, don't micromanage.
Yeah.
You have to let them do it by themselves and learn. So you see, so it's been the hardest thing I've ever had to do, but slowly you come to understand, because you get more responsibilities on the other side.
Right.
You have to, now you are the one who's looking for these places. You are the one creating the vision and the objective. You're creating the plan. You want, if for example you want to get into retail, how do we do that? Who am I supposed to talk to? How can I learn?
Yeah.
Where can I go to? I have to travel somewhere else and understand how it's done, how production is done there, so I can come and produce here. What machines do I need? All of those things
Right.
you have to do now.
Yeah.
And it's not enough to even in a day. A day is not enough for you to do it. So it takes a lot of time, a lot of effort. You can maybe be sleeping at night and just dreaming about a machine.
That's true.
You see, because that's where your head is.
That is so true.
Then you find out that you don't have time to worry about how the tailoring is done. There's someone else who's supposed to do that. So that is still hard. I'm still trying to get grasp to it. But I think when you get more responsibilities, they take your mind off it, so they can be able to work on this thing. Because I was told CEO's job is now direction.
Kabisa. You know, it's the hardest JD to describe, because a CEO actually doesn't do anything.
Yeah.
But it's still very necessary. It's like that choir master in an orchestra.
Yes.
He doesn't actually play any instrument. But he's very instrumental in creating the music, the product. Yeah.
Yes. Because you, in a day-to-day, like in the morning when you wake up after Swala, now you have to think, what is there on the agenda today? What am I supposed to do? You have, first of all, you talk to your people. This is being done, this is done, this is done, this is done. Then after that, what am I going to do? I need to look for this person to help me in terms of building this objective that we have, this vision that we have.
Right.
How are we going to do it? Who am I supposed to bring in? If it's an advisory board, who should I invite for coffee and entice and convince to become part of the advisory board? What is this? How do you build a business from a business, just a business, to a brand, to that level where people just buy the brand now, not the business? All of those things. So in a day-to-day, until the end of the day, and you don't miss those times where you have to get into the workshop and make sure everyone is doing everything correctly. Everyone has a question for you every day. How do we do this? I'm doing this, it's not working. How do we do it? You have to come up with those solutions. So day to day, your job is just putting out fires and coming up with solutions. Day to day, from the morning till evening, from morning till evening, is just putting out fires. Managing people, talking to people. Because like now, changing the brand, the business now to a brand, it's like you are changing the whole system the way it is, the way people are used to. And now people get scared. People get worried.
That's true.
We're not making the same money we were making.
Yeah.
Because someone told me something. We were having a conversation with one of my employees, and they were worried about the same thing. It's like we are digressing instead of moving forward. So I told him, when you're walking on a let's say it's a cliff, there's that end, and then you get there's a ledge or somewhere, and then there's the place you have to go to is on the other side, but you have to jump from this side to the other side, but you're standing here. So what do you have to do before you jump? Take a step back, and then I'm telling him we are taking a step back before we
jump
to the other side.
Right.
You see, that's most of what your work is now.
Yes, it is.
Making people understand the vision, and the direction that you have to go.
Yes.
And making them believe, because that's the hardest thing, making people believe what you see
That is
in your dreams, when you're sleeping at night, when you're sitting alone in the house, when you're reading a book, when you read a book and it clicks on your mind that, oh, this is what you're missing. This is what this guy is talking about, what you're missing.
Yeah.
Making people understand that kind of a feeling and that direction that you want to go to, and understand what is in your mind, where you're going. This is the hardest thing that any CEO has to do, especially an entrepreneur.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Are you into books, or where do you get your knowledge from?
I'm not that much of a reader.
Okay.
I've never been.
Yeah.
But I listen to people.
Okay.
That's why every time becoming CEO is posted, I'm there.
Right.
Because
Yeah.
what the person tells you right now in this space
Yes.
is what they're going to write in a book.
That is true.
And the book is maybe written by one person. But when you're listening to a podcast, you're listening to someone talk in an interview, they're telling you more than
Yes.
they're writing a book.
That's
So
true.
they're not hiding anything. They're telling you point blank how it is.
Okay.
So you pick and choose the conversation that are helpful to you and you want to hear.
Top 3 podcasts for you. Okay. Ushasema,
Becoming CEO. Classmates. The Vusi one.
All right.
Because it's very good content.
Yeah.
And I like to listen a lot to Kingori.
Kingori.
Because
Dr. Kingori.
he brings in a lot of aspect in terms of the way life is.
Yes.
The way current events are, and then how they
They
affect.
Yeah.
And Lynn also, Lynn Gugi.
Okay.
She brings in a lot of aspects of different people in life. He brings you an economist today. Tomorrow he brings you someone who a love story that went sour or was successful. And then tomorrow is bringing you a founder or a CEO, an entrepreneur.
Right.
So those kind of conversations bring perspective into life and whatever you do, and they open up your thinking.
Oh, I love that. Do you have a stranger than fiction story? A story, something that happened in your life, or a coincidence, or whatever it is, but unajua ukipigia watu story watasema ni jaba. But for you it was a big moment, it was life-changing, maybe, or not even life-changing, but stranger than fiction.
Yeah. There was, I told you before, there was a time I was just walking in CBD. Me, I'm not Phil. I don't have to wear a hoodie. People stop me and take pictures. I'm just a normal guy.
Yeah.
Now, 30% of people I meet don't even know who I am. So I'm used to doing the day-to-day. I'll walk around, maybe go buy fabric or something, just to still get in touch.
Yeah, with the business.
So I was just in an M-Pesa shop. I was withdrawing some money, and then someone he was shocked.
Yeah.
And he asked me, my friend, what are you doing here? I told him, I'm withdrawing some money.
Yeah.
You people like you walk in this kind of streets. I said, what are people like me? You're being discussed in conversations with presidents and I don't know what, and all celebrities and all of these guys. Well, but you see, that's my job. But this is me.
Yeah, me, I'm a hustler.
Because even I didn't know how to continue that conversation because I'm not used to it. Because I'm just used to walking and people just say, that guy has funny Indian hair, but nothing else.
Right.
You see, because people just know the brand, they never know the person behind the brand so much.
Yes.
But that person recognized, and he was very shocked. He wanted to take a picture, I don't know, do what.
Please, mkituona kwa streets, hata sisi tunafaa kutembea, tunafaa kwenda downtown. Please, we're just human. But that's something quickly as we wrap up.
Yeah.
That's very interesting. A lot of CEOs and leaders and founders are putting themselves more out there. For you, it's a very intentional decision to do this podcast, to put yourself out there. Why?
Because I think, like I told you, it helps me understand things differently when I hear someone else talk about it. Someone else can be going through the same thing you're going through. Someone else can open up your mind in terms of a different thing that you're struggling with in life, in business, and everything. When you put yourself out there, people understand that we are human beings. We are going through the same problems in different contexts.
Right.
But you can solve it by yourself. You don't have to run to this person. You don't have to commit suicide because you have a problem.
Yeah.
You don't have to close up your business because it's becoming hard. You just have to persevere. And there are people doing it. And there are people you can talk to, you can refer to. If someone is trying to start a suit business right now, if they come to me, I can be able to show them one or two things.
Yes.
That's why I'm putting myself out there, so that you can be able to give back to someone else, because someone also held your hand somewhere to take you to a different direction. Yeah. So that is basically why we have to be out there in the space, because we cannot complain about the problems and we cannot be the solution.
Okay.
So we have to be the solutions that we want to in the society itself and in the industry itself.
Love it.
Yeah.
Finally, what's your personal mantra? That one line that you keep telling yourself, repeating to yourself every day to keep you going.
One thing I usually say, because as human beings, we have a problem when it comes to changing and broadening our perspective and everything. Yeah. I usually tell everyone and tell myself, you learn not to change, but you learn to grow.
You learn not to change, but you learn to grow.
So if Phil is in the same industry as me and is making suits, I don't have to go copy what Phil does. I just have to learn of what Phil is doing better than me, so that I can be able to learn from it and become a better person.
We learn not to change.
But we learn not to change, but to grow.
But to grow.
Yes.
We learn not to change, but to grow.
Yes.
I think that's an amazing way to end this conversation. I think that's the perfect line to end this conversation.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Thank you. And I strongly believe that you're one guest that the classmates will request for you to come back more and more.
Hopefully.
Yes, hopefully. and please, thank you for honoring our invite and for coming back.
Thank you.
Again, I must say, that we did record this episode previously, but it had some technical challenges, so we had to redo the conversation. So I don't take it lightly. Thank you so much for honoring this conversation.
Anytime. It's always a pleasure.
Man, amazing.
Yeah.
See, your classmates, thank you again for tuning in to this amazing conversation. Please book your staycation at Longonot Place. They have amazing discounts. Wambie tu ni Phil Director Mexend. Also, go to phillytv.com and watch Makosani Yangu and some more amazing films on the platform. Vile tumeambiwa na Ashok, manze, start buying Kenyan so that we build Kenya and Africa. Thank you so much, and until next time.